Good evening. Just a wrap up of the work session and the council meeting for the City of Grand Rapids for Monday, March 12, 2018. The work session was very interesting this afternoon. We had some gals in from the food co-op. It's a group that's trying to get free-range food co-op going in Grand Rapids, and it's quite an endeavor. They're up to 453 members. They're looking at how they can do that to bring healthy, fresh foods, to the local community. They've been working with farmers markets, and they've been out there for about a year and a half or so as they've been trying to get that program up and running. So the free-range food co-op presentation, they were in and did a nice job informing us as to what's happening out there and why it could be beneficial for the City of Grand Rapids. Next, we had the police chief in on an alarm ordinance amendment. We are cleaning up our amendment from nuisance alarms and how we address them and the permitting of alarms in the City of Grand Rapids. So that was just a cleanup. That was moved forward, so that will be on the agenda in 2 weeks at the 26th, the meeting on the 26th. And then lastly, Jeff Davies from Public Works was in and talked a little bit about snow ordinance and snow removal and the need to clean up some of the piles that impair from a visibility standpoint, putting people in the position of having to almost be out in the street to see past some of the piles of snow that are piled up just off the right-of-way on, from the sidewalks and stuff. So we're going to be looking at that one. We didn't take action on that tonight, but we'll probably take action on the first part, the removal of snow, and then we'll take action probably over the course of the summer as we get ready for the next snow season next year with some of the other parts of that ordinance that need to be cleaned up. Council meeting was fairly short this evening. Main part of it was around consent agenda. Just a couple of things we wanted to touch on, some infrastructure easements. For the CP 2011-3 Northeast improvements were done, so we did for a couple of families there. We did some changes there. We also did a final payment on our multi-use pavilion. That's a project that started actually partway through last year as an add-on to what we were trying to do as a city council to address the shortage of ice time for youth, and rather than cut back on youth hockey tournaments and programs, the city, along with businesses and individuals, raised the funds to put a multi-use pavilion up on the end of the arena so that we could actually keep tournaments at 12-team tournaments versus going back to 8-team tournaments, and it's turned into quite a nice project from the standpoint of supporting hockey in Grand Rapids. We had a public hearing this evening. Purpose around the public hearing was pretty much looking at our ADA accessibility issues and how we can address them. The Olmstead Act was enacted in Minnesota as a result of a lawsuit, and we as a community have been out there trying to improve our accessibility from a handicap standpoint of how we address those needs as a community. Through the study and the work that a group in Grand Rapids did, we've identified $1.5 to $2 million of improvements that need to be done out there. Now, we know we can't do that all at once, so we've been trying to incorporate improvements on the roadside from the standpoint of accessibility over time as we do projects. But it would be nice if under the Olmstead Act, that does not currently have funding available for cities to come back, if there was a way that they could create a fund down at the state level or at the federal level, that cities that are in compliance and working towards compliance under ADA guidelines could access funds from there to actually supplement what they're currently putting in from the standpoint of funding ADA accessibility issues in their town. We're blessed in Grand Rapids to have, unfortunately, Myrna was in an accident, Myrna Peterson, and has been confined to a wheelchair since her accident, but we are blessed that she is an active woman in this community that's looking out for anyone that's out there with handicap issues from the standpoint of how do we make this community better from an accessibility standpoint for all. So she's certainly been a great voice, not only in Grand Rapids but across the state when we look at those type of issues. So that's something that we'll be working on. We'll have some discussion as a council on whether or not we can create an ordinance that supports this, that they could go down and at least have from the city side support at the state when we work with our local representatives at the state legislature on trying to figure out ways that we could get additional funding into the city of Grand Rapids to support that. We also had a department head report tonight by our chief talking about the city of Grand Rapids and our police department. I continue to be amazed at what work gets done in the police department, and what would sometimes seem as a handicap is actually a blessing, I think was the chief's word. The average age of the officers in Grand Rapids is 37 years of age with 13 years of experience, which means we have a little bit of an older force with more experience, and I think that goes a long way from the standpoint of what we ask them to do. So their compassion and their caring and their ability to go out there and to fit in with the desires and the needs from an enforcement standpoint in our community is greatly enhanced through their years of service. They've been there, they've seen it, and they know how to respond to a lot of these issues. So very proud. I think the chief said when you take a look at a squad that's out on the street, they literally have almost everything. You can get in there and you can find wrenches to open fire hydrants. They can be there ahead of a fire truck a lot of times. They can get stuff all prepared. At an accident, they can go in and they can do some different things at an accident prior to the meds when people. So having them prepared is a plus for us as a community, and it's a rolling office. As you saw the pictures, if you happen to be watching it, they've got computers in there and stuff. They can do a lot of their work right out in their squad on the street while they're working, so that they do not have to come in and do a lot of paperwork. It keeps them active and it keeps them out there. One of the nice things from the report is we tracked over the last 5 or 6 years, we have upgraded our technology on how some of this stuff is reported, but we have seen a decrease year after year over the last 3 years. To in 2017, when you take a look at total incidents in the city of Grand Rapids, we were down under 1,000 total incidents for the year. So that's a good trend. There's some of the areas around drugs and some of that we would like to see some improvement on, but overall, the incidents from multiples, whether it's burglaries, whether it's thefts, whether it's assaults, whether it's drugs, whether it's DWIs, the numbers have been trending down from an overall standpoint. So with that, we are looking forward to some nice weather out there. Get out and enjoy some of these warm days. Our Jeff Davies said he predicted 4 more storms. I think he almost got booed out of his chair there. We'd like to see more sunshine, but we look forward to talking with you once again on the 26th. Have a good evening.